Good morning, everyone. Can I hear you all say good morning? Let's start with a big energy. Good morning, everyone. Great. So firstly, I'm delighted to moderate this session with such amazing leaders here today. Let's have a huge round of applause for everybody sitting over here. Before we dive into the discussion, I have an amazing story to tell from an epic, and I am sure most of you all must have surely heard this story at least once in your lives. In Mahabharata, there's a moment before the Great War when Dronacharya tests his students. He places a wooden bird on a tree and asks them what do they see. Some say sky, some say branches, some say the bird's wings. But only Arjun had something different to say. Does anybody know what did Arjun say? The eye, correct. He said, I see only the eye of the bird. The clarity of the focus, that ability to tune out of distractions is what made Arjun not just skilled, but irreplaceable. In the world of DevOps today, organizations are searching for their Arjuns. Professionals with precision, adaptability, and resilience. But here's the catch. Such talent is very rare to be found. But it has to be nurtured with purpose and vision, or else it will slip out of your hands. So just as Dronacharya had to build discipline, culture, and continuity among his disciples, we too must ask, how do we build, retain, and grow high-performing DevOps teams in a world of constant change, automation, and talent wars? This panel today brings together leaders who will not just address the scarcity of DevOps, but they will also tell us that how do we explore and create an ecosystem where such talent thrives, stays, and multiplies. On that note, I would like to welcome all of the speakers here today, and because these are the true Dronacharyas of the future, so let's have a huge round of applause for all of them as they guide us ahead on this path. With that, my first question is to you, Mr. Vikram. As someone deeply involved in building and retaining high-performing teams, why do you think DevOps engineers are so hard to find and even harder to keep?
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Namrata, and the team here for inviting me on this prestigious event. So to answer this query, I meet a lot of technical leaders day in, day out, and I feel this is one of the very crisp questions which we keep getting, right? How to build team, and once we build, how to retain them. So to break down this entire query, I will make 2 pointers to it, 2 dimensions to it. One, the DevSecOps or DevOps as a stream of technology is having a scarcity of skills. And then the second one is a work culture driving this work stream. Coming to the first dimension of scarcity of skills, right? So DevOps, if we know by terminology itself, it is not single technology or one technology. It is actually a combination of, you can say, software engineering, infrastructure, technology, observability, reliability, thinking, right? Finding someone who can maybe write Kubernetes, right? Maybe who can build observability integrations, right? Who can automate security, keep security at the core of the entire SDLC cycle, is, in my opinion, is like finding a unicorn in today's world, right? So that's how the stream is all about. Even in one of my recent interviews, we have conducted interviews for this particular role. We got a lot of resumes mentioning that they are DevOps engineer. But when we started assessing those candidates, we found that these candidates are good. Somebody was good in, let's say, AWS. Yeah? Somebody was good in building CI/CD pipelines. But as a whole, we found that we were missing the complete bouquet of skills in one engineer. Somebody who can build the pipeline at the same time as an SRE, he can handle the production incidents also very diligently to keep the torch on, right? That's the first scarcity of skills is the dimension to it. Secondly, the market itself is very hyped. I would say this, right? People know their talent and their market value. So they are getting multiple offers, to be honest, right? From a lot of product companies, a lot of hyperscalers, right? A lot of big brands. So competition is fierce there. That's first part what I believe is scarcity of skill is where we are challenging ourselves to get good resource. Now coming to the second part, which is even more difficult. You can hire somebody maybe with compensation, etc., but how to retain? And the retention is all about culture. As per my personal opinion, I personally have seen a lot of, in my teams also, in my early days, I had also made these mistakes. People joined us for DevOps, but development operations were siloed, right? They were just running operations per se. No automation, no pipeline. They are fighting the production issues. End of the day, people with such high load and production incident management will leave the company. Because you cannot work 24/7 on your stand-up, right? As the role itself demands round-the-clock support though, and has high responsibility, but if we build a culture of using right tools for DevOps and right automations around this DevOps, I feel the game is won, right? In one of my experience, once we also learned how to navigate my own cohorts. One of my team, where the team was managing around 70% of production issues, Namrata, we faced that once we started automations and building pipelines in a seamless way, the attrition reduces by half within 6 to 8 months. That's how this has given a fruit to us. After that, we have built a culture of identifying the golden journeys in our ecosystem. Identify golden journey, start taking baby steps, and see how we can build more and more automations onto it, and how we can secure our resources around it. The last piece, what I feel again into the retention also, is compensation. But people leave for compensation for sure, but I feel that's the last thing to do. Generally, people leave because of culture. DevOps as an engineering etiquette, so as an engineering pride, people in the DevOps stream wants to automate, wants to take a pride that these many journeys I have automated end to end. These many things I have integrated with, let's say, Kubernetes or pipelines I have built. So net, my view onto this would be, one, we really need to look for the skill set, the wide spectrum of skill set this particular stream carries. That's a challenge of building, and retention is definitely a culture gap. That's
Thank you.
my view.
Thank you so much for setting the stage, Mr. Vikram. Mr. Ashok, picking up from that, what would be your views on this question?
Hello, am I audible? Yeah. So thanks Namrata and Quantic media team for providing us the opportunity to be here with such esteemed panelists, and I'm feeling grateful for that. And rightly said, what he has said so far, like Vikram has given. He has, given all the basic points which needs to be. What I can add into that, like having this talent crunch and retaining those talents, it's really a big challenge. And I can see from the number of visitors as well, because the people are so busy, can't retain on Friday because they are busy into their might be production support or some next deliveries. I hope so. So this is a real big challenge. What I see, like the DevOps is a role where you evolve yourself. It's the name says like Dev plus Ops. So there are a lot of races going among the candidates also to become DevOps engineer, whether they are having the right skill, partial right skill, or fully skilled for that role. This role, my personal view, does not have something for the freshers. If you have some exposure for the system, where you do understand the system, and you have started looking after one portion of the system, whether it may be network, infrastructure, code or something, then you can evolve yourself in full DevOps once you understand. So, and this answer the second part of the how it's difficult to retain that. Mostly the people are switching the careers so early. Even I feel they do not understand the product on which they are working upon for a year. They just switch to the different company on different product. Similarly, they are doing so. So overall, their range of experience is going up, but their skills are not going up as it is, or the understanding of this role as well. So this is the most difficult thing to maintain. So whosoever is aspiring to be a DevOps or trying to aspire to grow into DevOps, first need to understand how to learn and adapt easily and unlearn also. Because if you have very good at one technology, then you have to be too good for the other technology you are heading up for the next role and also. And this can't be achieved in a month or 6 months or in a quarter. You have to spend at least a year, 2 years to understand and become master. And then you can think about what are the weak points within the system, where we can do automation, what extent, and what will be the best fitted solution for that particular problem. So once you are started thinking about these core areas, end-to-end deliveries, then you are having some kind of bent of DevOps engineer role, and then you can evolve yourself. I just give these kind of points to my teammates or my colleagues or friends circle, but it's good to understand at the beginning. The sooner you will evolve or sooner you change your mindset, you are going to grow in your career. Second part, like this, I feel the AI and Chat GPT is one of the reason for this crunch as well. I screened 10 different resume. They are too good for a DevOps engineer, what I am looking forward. But when I start interviewing and screening them in the very first round, I get feedback from my teams, oh, that guy was having everything in the CV, but is really not showcasing in the interview. So the problem where is this? Because of Chat GPT and things, a person who has been system admin or a simple application support guy has made a very nice, fascinating CV, which has been shortlisted by the HR team members. And they thought that having some fancy words into the CV and answering during the first round, they will go and crack the interview and become the DevOps engineer. So that's the problem, because this role in some support staff is application support engineer is trying to be DevOps engineer, system engineer is trying to be DevOps engineer, network support engineer is trying to be DevOps engineer. Whatever support engineer is there, they wanted to aspire. It's good to aspire. There is nothing wrong into that. But you have to really work hard to justify the role and the keywords you have put into your CV. And that's the challenge. I mean, recently I have one position open for that, and we interviewed more than 50 candidates. All the 50 resumes were super resumes. Like, initially we got these 5 candidates are there, we will shortlist one of them. But when you screen all the 5, you found like, oh, all the CV were fascinating, but this guy is not having the skill set. So that's how I say, if you see the switching is happening, whether it's like Bengaluru, Noida, or any part of India or globally, the post-COVID effect has grown the cloud adaptability. Once the cloud adaptability has become, more than average what it used to be before COVID, we have seen this role evolving across the globe. Whether it's a service-based company, it's a product-based company, and then people started eye-catching things like, oh, this is something which can pay us more. So there are some smart guys who blended AI skills into there, and they have really sharpened their skills and got the bullseye, what you said, like the kind of Arjun. So there are some Arjun in the market who have got what they want to achieve, and they are again evolving to get the next level. But there are some people who are aspiring, that's too okay, but they are not working hard to resharpen their skills or learn the things which is needed in the market. So this is one question.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ashok, for sharing your point. My next question is to you, Mr. Abhishek. Should organization focus on building DevOps talent internally, or should they focus on competing in the open talent markets?
All right, I think, hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
So that's a great question, like my friends mentioned here. So I would go for a hybrid approach, and the reason for that is, see, you can grow talent internally, and that's always, you can leverage the internal people because they know the culture, they know the policies, they know the OKRs of the company, the objective key results which has to be driven, the KPIs that they have to go through. So that is definitely beneficial, but yeah, external market options are always good to have because the market is evolving. Every day we are seeing some new tools. You saw the shops outside, and it was really good to see so many partners who are providing so many things, be it on observability, on CI/CD pipelines, or on security vulnerabilities. So I would say a hybrid approach wherein you try to retain the internal talent, not just by compensation, but by providing cognitive empathy, understand the team culture, let them know how this has to be done, and understand the feelings, that no one is getting overburdened, but also look for a good talent in the market so that you are upskilling in parallel and working as a hybrid model.
Great, thank you so much. Would anybody else like to add up to this question? Great, we'll move ahead. My next question is to you, Mr. Nitin. Someone being deeply involved in running AI/ML infrastructure at a massive social scale, according to you, what set of skills should a modern DevOps engineer focus on to stay up to date or rather relevant in the market today?
Sure, Namrata, I guess I'm audible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thanks for inviting me to the events, and it's a pleasure to really speak in front of this great audience. Me being CTO, I think I would try to give probably slightly more technical flavor to this question. So generally, now considering the variety that DevOps will have to deal with, they will definitely have to be very comfortable walking through variety of tool sets. But then they simultaneously, I think conundrum is they also have to go deep into certain specific areas, and some of those specific areas, if I classify, falls into a few categories. One of those is cloud native and multi-cloud. I think majority of the organization today are multi-cloud. And then majority of the organizations have zeroed down onto some form of microservices design and architecture. And this typically calls for some kind of orchestration, and in that context, Dockerization and Kubernetes have turned out to be the tool of the choice. So I think in terms of a skill set, the DevOps engineer will have to be super comfortable with Docker, with Kubernetes, Helm, and then a lot of other ancillary things which go actually orthogonal to the development processes and the daily task of a developer. And in that sense, I think being very comfortable with technologies like service mesh, sidecars, be able to inject orthogonal concerns like, let's say, reliability, service discovery, backoffs, retries. I think a lot of those goes hand in hand, which is where DevOps actually starts sharing the responsibility along with the developer as a part of their development objectives as well. And then I think now, considering this multi-cloud nature and the exponential demand from the customers, have to be super comfortable with the cost optimization and how to really manage this infrastructure cost effectively at scale. Second dimension is infrastructure as a code and GitOps. I think so eventually it needs to be declarative infra. And GitHub needs to, or Git needs to be a single source of truth for the entire organization. And in that context, the DevOps need to be super comfortable with things like Prometheus, open telemetry-based log collection, or the tracing. Then the next dimension to this is DevSecOps and resilience. Primarily, security is shifting left. I think so. Following the zero trust principles, doing the vulnerability scanning, policy as a code. I think these things they are relatively new. I think people are still learning, developing, and that's where coming to some of the talent question, finding some of these talents is still harder. But then extended part of this is how DevOps really start doing kiosk testing, or think how they really stay on top of the disaster recovery. I think those are some of the skills which are pretty important as well. Then getting to next one, I think observability and AI ops. I think this is where some of the roles like SRE shines. Now, ability to collect the logs, the matrices, the traces at scale. And it's not just about, I think, right now there is a strong ability to collect this through internal tooling, as well as a lot of third-party service providers, and some of those are present here as well. But how do you really make this accessible and make people really make sense of out of this plethora of alerts and information which is coming to the SREs and be able to respond to the incidences quickly? And that's where there is a slight shift towards the AI ops as well, which can be leveraged. Things like predictive alerting, or even doing the issue triaging and similar stuff. I think last thing is I think it's about the culture and the platformization. See, DevOps as a DevOps engineer or the platform engineer, I think need to have this empathy towards their customer, and their customers are generally either the developers or the SREs, and then other stakeholder of the organization as well. So building some of these self-servicing tools, setting up some decent reliability defaults in a way that developers can really just focus on what is expected out of them and be extremely productive as a part of that process. So I think it requires multiple dimensions, so many technologies out there, so many things to learn, but I think these are some of the key focus areas which organizations and the individuals need to keep spending their time into.
Great, thank you. Great point, sir. Thank you so much. Mr. Sushan, how would you approach this question?
So, Nitin, am I audible?
Yeah.
So, Nitin has rightly said, and especially I love the context of GitOps and platform engineering, and the same is evolving in multi-factors in this domain as such. So DevOps in general, what Nitin has said is absolutely correct, and I would so instead of repeating the same points, I would like to add few 2-3 points to it. Probably FinOps is another context which the DevOps guys should actually work upon. FinOps doesn't mean taking care of the financial operations. FinOps for me is particularly managing the entire budgets and expenses with the DevOps actually, or the engineering team actually incurs at various intervals. Maybe how can you optimize the various tools being utilized across the platform, or maybe how you can reduce the budgets of your cloud computations. Something of those sorts are extremely necessary. The second point is serverless computing or the edge computing. Since we have entered into an era of AI and machine learning now, so serverless and edge computing has evolved a lot. So yes, cloud infra is definitely there. So apart from hyperscalers, there are people are even now validating whether they can even shift some part of their engineering servers or infra not on the hyperscalers, but maybe on the on-prem solutions, which actually reduces their cost to a very great extent. And probably at that, for that, if you someone works on that approach, probably serverless and edge computing plays a very vital role. Especially I have seen organizations moving their AI training pieces on the on-prem solutions, because ultimately it reduces cost by approximately 80-85%. This is what I have seen in my organization per se as well. So this is another set of an operational job which probably AI guys actually needs to focus upon. And lastly, I would say that security, again, as Nitin has already mentioned about the security, but security per se of whatever the platform is evolving, but even the security, I would consider it like data security ops. So data ops is another set of frame which DevOps should actually start focusing upon, because data flow after Gen AI, data flow is happening within the organization at a very rapid pace. Just consider a finance guy uploading the entire balance sheet which is uncomputed or unaudited into the Gen AI ecosystem. Ultimately, it leads to a very disaster for an organization. So for an organization, who will actually own the security of that? Probably my personal belief is that the DevOps engineer should take that role and they should start acting upon it, because that's the major leakage which after emergence of AI which would be used by various people in the organization, not only the engineers to whom he needs to support, but probably the organization in which a DevOps should support. So yes, data security is another aspect which a DevOps should actually focus upon.
Great, thank you so much, sir. Mr. Abhishek, would you like to add on to this question?
Can you repeat the question again, please?
Yeah, so we're talking about, according to you, what set of skills should a modern DevOps engineer focus on to stay up to date or rather relevant in the market?
See, right now, if you look into the market, there are a lot of options available. You have to understand the strategy that your organization and your shop is pertaining to, right? You have to understand what kind of, DevSecOps or DevOps or SRE. So we have to first understand what we are going to implement. It's not a production support that we used to call it 10 years back, or just DevOps doing CI/CD pipelines. It's more than that now, right? So you have to understand the tool set, whether you are getting it from the market using few vendor partners, understanding that there's a lot of open source tools, Jenkins and HashiCorp Vault and SIP for doing secret management, N8N for doing a lot of AI agentic AIs. So first understand the structure that you want to integrate with your structure in the team. Identify the tool set, whether it has to be open source, it has to be vendor driven, and then understand the scope, budget, time on which you have to leverage these technologies, right? So based on that, I would say, be it open source, be it vendor driven, shift left strategy when you are planning, you have to make sure that how soon you are catching the vulnerabilities, how good you are at implementing the pipelines, what is the time to implement those pipelines, how much percentage capacity you are trying to save by implementing these tool set integrations. So that is something that you have to plan and integrate.
Great, thank you so much. Mr. Ashok, I would like to come to you again. Your expertise also lies in upscaling engineers. So according to you, what role does cross-training in areas like security, FinOps, and AI Ops play in the future proofing of DevOps team?
Yeah, so I mean, it's all about reducing the risk and reducing the cost. And earlier it was not a key role for any DevOps, but currently in modern era, we as a DevOps, we have to understand this. It's not only DevOps, it has transformed very slowly into DevSecOps. And because of AI, it is mostly like, rightly said, one of the panelists, we have a lot of data which is exposed to any other services, AI or any other platforms where we have to take care of the data security as well. So transforming AI ops, I mean, it's just a blending. You are aging or you're leveraging publicly open AIs, or you have built something at your own. It's always good to think about the shift left, but the goals would be having the DevSecOps where you are reducing the risk, and then FinOps where you are reducing the cost on the company overall. To understand this journey, this needs a lot of cultural trainings within the team who can understand being an engineer. It does not mean he understands the criticality of the budget as well. So they do have some budgeting mindset also. Hey, we do have a budget and we have to be into the how and where we can reduce some costs so that the budget is not stretching. And then it's also leveraging to, talk to the management for any additional tools you require. Sometimes, vendor-based tooling or you are having open source, there are some costs involved into that, cost plus skill. So where you are going to find additional budget on top of that, or you are leveraging that to showcase reducing some cost on the management so that they can feel, okay, they have invested X million or X thousand on this tool. It has overall benefited us and it has monetized also in terms of saving budgets. So these are the things we need to primarily focus, and we need to make our mindset like that. Whatever we are doing to reduce the security vulnerability or to reduce the fin operations, we always think about the costing part and budgeting in the mind, like these are the stress we are going to reduce or we are going to create on the top of what we have at the pre-approved, because ultimately it's all about the money game. So whether the company is making money or saving on the existing cost, so the operational cost is not going high, so that the overall ARR rate is within the limit and everybody is happy. So being a leader, I mean, these are always the things we have to take care. Personally, I do feel we have reduced a lot at our own side. So there are tools also, there are some vendors also. If you are not doing, you are lazy a bit, you can integrate with them and they will take care of this part. I saw some of the vendors also empowering this event. So that's one way, but having a culture within your team where everybody is thinking towards this is the optimal outcome I as a leader wish to have for everyone, so that no one is hesitating to raise a risk or shifting left or putting some extra effort where he is expecting some gap, whether it's related to security or optionally costing to the company.
Great.
So these are the certain areas.
Great points.
It's all about the mindset again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Mr. Ashish, I would like to come to you. As someone deeply involved in driving cloud-native DevOps and architectural metrics, what are some best ways to measure the effectiveness of a DevOps team?
I think to measure the effectiveness of DevOps team is good sleep, right? So if you are sleeping well at night and there is no last minute outage and on-call coming in your night, so I think that's where you measure that your implementation is so good that it auto-heals and it works so reliable that you do not have to care about or look into your infrastructure and you can have a good sleep. But coming to the point, DevOps is a culture and a mindset, as we told. And the mindset always promote continuous improvement and continuous learning to improve, and where we are today, we always go up and up and up. See, and there is no stopping. DevOps cannot be achieved completely anytime. It's always will go up, down, up, down. It's a continuous activity. So there's a matrix, I think coined by Google, and there's a research team called DORA, D-O-R-A. So DORA matrix kind of look into 4 keys, which kind of look into that value what DevOps delivers. And on that 4 metrics, one is deployment frequency, how fast you can deploy and how frequent you can deploy. Lead time from your first commit till production, how much time you are taking with all testing and automation. It is maybe many teams take 30 days, some teams take 2 days. So how can you reduce that? How small you are getting that? Then one is mean time to recover. If you have outage in production, and how fast from that outage you can recover your system, that kind of makes sure that how reliable your system is. And the 4th one is, yeah.
No worries, no worries. Thank you so much for your point.
No, wait, yeah, so so mean time to recover and this, and so what this metric says, it says that I will not measure how fast you make a pipeline. A developer or a DevOps engineer will not make a pipeline sooner, or like in 3 days I will make pipeline, or I will not measure how fast you're writing the code, how fast your automation the script. I will see, can my team which has gone deploying to like 30 days, 1 sprint, can deploy in 2 weeks. Netflix, you take example, deploys 100 deployments per day, and the system doesn't break, right? So in you don't know you are watching a Netflix show, and there are 3 deployments happen on Netflix. So that kind of system and giving the developer authority, and system so work well that you commit your code, it does the build and everything. The testing of that kind of automate, test everything, and everything pass, it directly go to production without a human intervention. And you're confident that you commit code and it will work in production. So that is like optimized level of DevOps. So you have to track your DevOps using DORA metrics or by DevOps maturity assessment. So I will suggest, like when we do in company, we do in 6 months, we always do a maturity assessment, where we are today and where we can improve the maturity, and all factors from the planning till development, from the QA testing point, security point, from the operational point, and from the metrics point, and we kind of get the points, the improvement points, and then we work next 6 months to work on that points to see in next 6 months did we achieve what we wanted to achieve. If not, then next 6 months we try to that. So I think that will be the effective way to measure the DevOps implementation.
Great, thank you. Great points, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. Mr. Vipin, my next question is to you. While scaling digital platforms, you have led fast-moving engineering teams. So how do you prevent burnout while maintaining high delivery velocity?
So, yeah. So velocity is important because obviously speed is very, very important, but what's important is that it's sustainable. You don't want to break down, and and there are several strategies and principles which you can use. And this applies not just to DevOps. DevOps is actually very high pressure, and there are doing things at night and things break down, and so these strategies are applicable in general, but specifically to some DevOps also. And they have worked well for me. So one is create psychological safety in the team. Things will break down. Things do go wrong, but one should create a culture, and it's about, creating a culture that people should feel free to raise flags in advance. There should be blameless communication. Things will go wrong, right? So when things go wrong, don't blame. I mean, figure out what the root cause is. So instead of people blaming, you get into what happened. Can we look at it from a process or a system perspective? And when you do that, it actually, the systems over the long run become more resilient, right? And people start taking ownership, and they also start managing their own workloads. So that's one. The second thing, which is that intentionally build slack into your sprints, planning, allocate some budgets for recovery, for learning, for innovation, for experiments. So it's not a waste. In fact, it's critical that we allocate 10% of your time, anybody across the organization, and not just DevOps, for learning, innovation, experiments, right? The third strategy is redefine what it means to be a high performance within your teams. So what does it mean to be high performance? A lot of times we measure it, and that's the shortest way to measure it, the number of hours somebody puts in, right? But instead of that, measure it on the outcome. And DevOps, the workload is so unpredictable and uneven, it's even more important to actually measure impact and system reliability rather than the number of hours somebody is putting. And once you do that, then the engineers themselves will start using automation to actually improve their lives. And the end goal of any engineering system or engineer is to just build systems which are fully automated. You switch off the lights, go home, sleep well, and you're not doing anything. But the culture has to support that. The managers have to see that, if somebody is sitting idle, it's okay, as long as the systems are performing and they're reliable.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, sir. Coming to you, Mr. Sushan, once again. So you've been leading teams under tight delivery timelines. So how do you foster a culture of continuous learning in high-pressure environments?
Basically, while the timelines are tough, we need to actually incorporate a lot of stuffs within the ecosystem so that a continuous learning is actually there. So let me give you an example. Probably 4-5 years back, I realized that you cannot have a KRA for a DevOps engineer or a site reliability engineer. This is what I thought about. Then I thought that let's do something, let's experiment something for about 2-3 months. What I did is, I mentioned the KRA which I set for my site reliability engineer was, what would be the new learnings he would do for next 3-4 months would actually make his KRA. So in spite of having a lot of tough timelines, probably there would be time when there would be an idle scenario or something of those sort. So how about doing that? And after experimenting it for about 3 months, it made magics. It created a lot of new learning for the SREs. It actually helped them in doing a lot of automation, wherein and they actually educated many of the developers on how to tackle the real-time scenarios. So it actually saved their time. So this was one of the experiments which I did. Apart from this, and since then I am continuously adopting these scenarios, that I simply said that their KRAs as whatever new learning they would do, and that needs to be measurable. So for example, okay, I read this book. So reading a book is not at all measurable. The real measurable is, okay, reading anything new and how do you actually implement it in the ecosystem and come out with a set of results. Now that particular set of results might be positive, might be negative, or might be neutral. That doesn't matter at all. But yes, if a new learning is there, new adoption is there, then that is what it matters a lot. So this is one which I generally try to set from last 4-5 years, and it is really working fine with in our case. And in general, as a set of culture, it is that I try to focus upon micro learning. So rather than having a session of an hour or 2 or maybe half a day, it is how about doing 10-15 minutes micro sessions. How about is talking during the lunch sessions. So these kind of scenarios are easily available in the high time scenarios wherein SRE doesn't take time to actually focus much upon their learning. So the moment you give them a task and you set their KRAs in such a manner, I personally believe it will make a difference.
Great insight. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Vikram, would you like to add up to this question?
It's actually one of my favorite questions, Namrata.
Great.
Thanks for asking me this. So learning is something which personally I feel has to be a trait, lifelong, right? In this changing dynamics, I feel personally continuous learning is only the constant. Everything else is changing. So in our careers, we have seen starting from Java development, J2E development, struts, Hibernate. Now we are moving to the NLPs. The programming language itself has changed, right? A lot of AI tools has come up. overall learning is anyways important given to the context of DevOps and the stream of DevOps. It is high pressure job. Most of time we are busy in shipping features, firefighting production issues, right? So we always think we will learn when the things will settle down. And we, all of guests and speakers know, nothing settles down in engineering world. It is always something that is fatafai. We are always in the firefighting mode. So what I have personally adopted is putting learning as a part of job. In a way, some of my friends were saying about the blameless, RCA finding, etc., right? So in every incident calls, we used to see a lot of people were scared of joining these calls because it will be a blame. This system broke down, that's why the entire service path broke down. We adopted a culture of blameless post-mortems. So that's a term we gave to this particular ceremony. Wherever some major 7 happened, we called out the major stakeholders. No finger pointing, nothing. You just tell what went wrong, what would have been better, what we will do tomorrow to improve. The failures doesn't happen tomorrow again. The similar failure doesn't happen tomorrow. This way we are able to build a good set of knowledge bank. Everything is documented. People are referring those documents. So one example where the learning now is becoming a part of their ongoing routine. Nothing new, nothing spare time you need to appoint yourself for. The second thing which as a structured learning, what we are adopting in our team is having a productive learning hours. Okay, so we do have Friday Gurukul sessions within our group where any one of us who has done some tremendous work, they just depict that work, what all learnings they have got from that work, socialize that. Because we are in most of the major of the enterprises where the high number of teams are there, people tend to miss what other teams are doing, good initiatives, right? Why don't reuse what somebody else would have already been done? Learn and reuse is something, the culture what we are trying to build there. Similarly, we do have brown bag sessions. There are also any of the major achievements which has gone live. We are demonstrating those as a group of people. So Friday Gurukuls are primarily one-on-one session, rather a single person talking, and then the brown bag sessions are primarily as a group, what we have achieved as a team. So 2 things it gives to me. When I attend such sessions in front of my team, one, it's a pride for them to demonstrate that they have achieved this much. Second, it definitely brings a trigger to others in terms of this can be achievable and the learnings coming out of that achievement, right? So these are few, you would say, the ceremonies what we do. But again, in my mind, I'm clear about if we keep engaging our people and motivating them and inspiring them with new innovations, new upcoming technology, learning becomes a cakewalk, believe me. So we were in Jenkins per se for CI/CD pipelining. So we moved to build Piper. Just as an initiative, we took a small POC, run well, we maintained DORA metrics, and we saw tremendous results coming out from Jenkins to build Piper. To socialize this, people are now implementing across my organization build Piper as a CI/CD tool. Similarly, for monitoring, earlier we used to have Telegraph, we moved to Jebix, another innovation, right? So people feel very, very comfortable that we are up to the technology landscape. Now AI ops, AI DevOps, everywhere there AI is there, right? So now we are learning, doing a lot of experimentation around AI, how we can improvise the service paths, how we can improvise the automations using AI. Net, what I would say, build learning as a part of your daily routines rather than having the specific time that I will learn this day. Probably that doesn't work. Put it into your day-to-day job. It worked well for me, may work for this group of people also.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Coming to you, Mr. Vipin. Is automation reducing the need for traditional DevOps roles, or is it creating new ones?
So this is a part of a larger debate which is happening in the society, that will AI eat our jobs? Will AI take over DevOps? And the answer is the same, that no, it will not eliminate human beings. It will not, and that's my view. It will not eliminate DevOps. It will definitely change it. So the nature of DevOps roles as well as other roles will change because of the advent of AI and automation. And if you look at DevOps as a discipline holistically, what does it mean? It essentially originated to improve the velocity and the reliability of software development. it actually assisted the developers in doing deployments at scale with speed, right? So that is the mission of DevOps. That mission doesn't change. What does change is that automation and the ambit of what can get automated keeps on expanding. And with AI, it's even much more now that you can automate tasks which are repeatable, and that will continue to happen, and it's a good thing. And that allows human beings and DevOps to move up higher in the value chain. So now DevOps can focus on system design, they can focus, more, they have more time, so they can do system resilience, they can improve developer experience, a lot of other things, right? So you can move up the value chain, and that is what's going to happen.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much for your insights, a great point. Mr. Ashish, what would be your take on automation's role in DevOps talent space?
See, DevOps by definition promotes automation. So the automation cannot kill DevOps because DevOps promote it. And if you see traditionally 10 years, will take you to 10 years back, people used to manually deploy things and manually deploy a developer, give handover, and they did. That works. Today also people do deployment and do software development. It's the same thing. It's just that it evolved to an automatic pipeline setup where developer check in and it goes to there. Still the ops people are still there. They have not lost their job. They have evolved into a DevOps, learned Kubernetes, learned Docker, learned this pipelines and automation, and they have came here and doing high value work, and that has saved their time where they used to waste 10 hours to do a simple deployment. It takes 2 minutes. Now they can focus on reliability, stability, and can do a high value job, right? Like cost optimization. Maybe people were fighting every day to do deployments, like they take so much hours, they will not care about cost. Today they can do innovative script writing for doing the cost optimization, or can do some area where getting the analytics or solving some issues which cannot be done earlier. They can kind of go there, focus on thing, and do high value job. So and now with AI, where I think you're mostly the automation you're coming, AI will evolve into a agentic DevOps system in future. Agentic DevOps is the way to go, where currently we also doing it in our company is that pull requests have been a manual. We are trying to make pull request automated with AI review. So the pull request took 8 hours of time, 2 hours of time, it kind of in minutes or seconds. So, and then what it is doing, the repetitive activity, now generate Helm charts, generate YAML files, or generate something. We have people writing that code and like taking 7 hours, 8 hours to do that. We are kind of getting it in 2 hours with AI help, and they can optimize and fix it and do it. So with DevOps, we are kind of optimizing and making sure that the repetitive work and the low generative works can be given to automation or AI, and the developers can focus on high value works, and which kind of they can use their brain, and then they can implement. So we are just going at a dimension where we are just increasing our dimensions of automations, where we didn't see that possibility 2 years or 3 years ago. Now we are seeing a possibility of that with AI and automation, which I think will evolve. So yeah. I think that's what I...
Very, very well put, sir. Now that you spoke about AI, my last question is to you, Mr. Nitin. What is your take on AI disrupting the roles of skill set in DevOps talent space?
Can you repeat again?
Yeah, so what is your take on AI disrupting the roles and skill sets of top DevOps talent?
Sure, yeah, I think some of the panelists already spoke about this, and I know time is up, so I'll probably try to keep it brief. So I think AI definitely will change the way DevOps behave. I think specifically, I think they, instead of being reactive, they are going to be more predictive and proactive in terms of their approach. And what this means is, if I see this transition, I think this transition predominantly is happening across 3 dimensions. One is predictive operations and self-healing. Again, the AI ability to sift through variety of logs and be able to identify certain patterns and possibly be able to react as well. That's where things get tricky. But certain things are easier to react. For example, if it is anticipating some sort of increase in demand, then how to auto-scale the infrastructure to be able to meet up to those demands. So I think it's really going to change the way system discovers the issues upfront and then self-heal. Second one is, I think, AI augmented development and testing. I think this is, while we are talking in the context of DevOps, this is going to affect the entire development stream. And with the help of the code assistant tools, be able to write tools. I think we spoke about be able to raise the PR requests, getting those reviews done faster, and then expediting the entire process. Similarly, be able to write those test cases. I think that's where it's going to impact the DevOps roles quite a bit, and I think it's eventually is going to enable them more and be able to do more in lesser time. And third thing is AI-powered observability and anomaly detection. And I think this is where even in ShareChat as well, we are actually making quite a bit of progress, because right now organization is with hundreds of microservices out there and very large deployments across multiple clouds. Teams are inundated with variety of alerts, which probably are pointing to this similar problem being detected at multiple hops. And how do you detect those anomalies? How do you do those correlation analysis? How do you make sense of the telemetry which is being produced by a variety of the systems like matrices, logs, traces, and putting all of them together and then be able to apply the historical knowledge of the organization in terms of how it has responded to the incidents in past. Putting all that and then bringing a relatively crisper summary for the SRE teams to be able to react or respond to it. I think that's going to change quite dramatically. So throughout, I think AI is going to have a reasonably large impact in terms of how DevOps operate. Definitely, I agree. My view is that as well as it's not really going to replace the DevOps. It's just only going to enable. I think another shift which is happening. How far does it go? I think time would tell. But agentic AI, which means basically multiple AI agents collaborating together to solve a particular problem, and in the context of DevOps or the site reliability engineering, what it means is again. Be able to keep an eye of what's happening into the production. One agent basically is triaging, collecting all the relevant logs. Another one is trying to make sense out of this. The third agent probably is trying to put a response and how to fix it. And third is making those fixes permanent. So I think this agentic AI, how these various agents come together, and that's where DevOps will have to evolve. DevOps engineer, platform engineers will have to evolve in terms of prompt engineering, how to put in those checks and balances on top of agentic AI in terms of putting the guardrails, and then how to put these agents into the operational environment of the enterprises. I think that's going to be one of the key skills that's going to be immensely powerful as well.
Great, thank you so much. So as we come to the end of this conversation, I'm sure everybody has gotten to take some new insight from this panel today. And one thing stands out very clearly, finding Arjuns of the DevOps is only half of the story. Creating the right Gurukul, which is the ecosystem for them, is the real test. So our speakers have shown us the way to build, retain and grow teams that are not only high performing but also resilient to change. So let's take these insights back and apply them to our teams and become the Dronacharyas in our own organizations as well. Let's have a huge round of applause for all the esteemed speakers who shared their lovely insights on the panel. And on that note, I would like to sign off as the moderator for the session. It was a great pleasure to moderate this session. We can end this. Can we have? Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody.